This week on The Gadget Show.
Otis and I explore our true potential as we use gadgets to try and give ourselves superhuman, superhero powers.
They won't spot me.
Can Otis become invisible? And can Jason scale buildings dressed in green lycra?
Come on, man, this is Captain Gecko.
Anything could happen in the next hour, so stay tuned to this station.
Also in this show, John goes hiking with the extraordinary Brian Blessed to test walking boots.
And I'll be testing some excellent home security gadgets. That was good. Hello and welcome to The Gadget Show.
Yeah, now, Susie, it's important that we focus, OK, because we have a serious job to do in today's episode of The Gadget Show.
Yes, because this week, Jace and Otis were set a challenge that was very cool, but also, at the same time, very daunting.
You're not kidding me. It only involved trying to save the world using technology and gadgets to give ourselves superpowers.
See? Told you it was cool.
Spider-Man, Iron Man, X-Men, the Fantastic Four, all classic superheroes that have embraced technology and gadgets in their wars against crime.
Tony Stark designed and built his armoured Iron Man suit himself. It gave him superhuman strength and flight, as well as an array of gadget weapons.
Spider-Man constructs his own artificial web shooters that allow him to swing from building to battle his enemies.
Mr. Fantastic, leader of the Fantastic Four, is an uber science geek. His mastery of mechanical, aerospace and electrical engineering enables him to create all sorts of gadgets to help him and his three friends tackle Dr. Doom.
Our challenge was to give ourselves superhero powers. But before we chose which ones we were going to create, we got to experience one of the superhero effects they use in the movies. It's got to be the power of flight. Yeah?
Definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
they've all got it.
You want a bit of that? You want a bit of flight?
That would be great. To help us get airbound, we were going to use the magic of the movies and some steel wires.
Wirework is now a staple of the movie industry, and we enlisted the help of rope experts flying by Foy.
That feels good.
Yeah. Their wires and harnesses helped Christopher Reeve fly in the original Superman film.
Awesome!
OK,
Yeah.
so we'll get you on the wires and
Wow.
see how it feels.
I might wear this permanently.
So we've worked out a fight sequence,
Yeah.
and we need you to, help us.
We zoom up,
Yeah.
and then you zoom across. So I
Do you
zoom
want to go up
across.
together or separately? Or...
Separately.
Separately,
Yeah.
and then I come zooming across, and there's like a grapple.
Tussle.
Yeah.
I push you away.
Yeah, and there's some superhero sort of fling, we fly off.
Yeah.
And then
flailing.
I'm gonna come after you.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I'm going to retaliate with a big like kung fu style.
Yeah.
Like that.
And then that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can do that?
Not a problem.
Excellent.
So, with Adam fully briefed, it was time to get attached to the wires and practice our slick superhero moves. But it wasn't as easy as it looks in the movies.
Close.
I was more Peter Pan than Peter Parker.
But with a little more guidance from our experts, we soon got into the swing of things.
Oh, wow, good takeoff, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The wires we were attached to were super strong steel with a braking strain of more than 1,500 kilos.
Oh, man, you got the moves, baby.
That's me.
These wires and the lifting mechanisms were attached to winches that lifted us slowly into the air and moved us around. In order for our fantasy fight to work, we needed to choreograph our positions and program them into a control panel, which was responsible for our height and speed of takeoff. Once our sequence was set, we could repeat our movements over and over again, as we needed a lot of takes to get our acting spot on.
In this setup, I could travel left to right, while Otis was only able to go up and down.
Little stumble.
little
but-
double take.
Little stumble, but...
To make my moves slicker, my position was being moved manually, giving the operator better control over me and reducing any spin.
After a morning's intensive practice, we were ready.
All that was left was the CGI backdrop.
And for that, we enlisted the help of some local CGI experts to create a dramatic cityscape. We've added the backdrop partway into the sequence so you can see the before and after.
Like such good fun.
It was so much fun.
Fantastic.
Really
but
good.
Considering you both looked like you really enjoyed flying around, neither one of you chose it as one of your superpowers.
No, we didn't choose flying, did we?
Yep.
I chose bounding over buildings. Yeah?
Bounding?
Yes, as Captain Gecko. Yeah? The guy that can stick to buildings and thus climb them. Imagine a maiden stuck on top of a skyscraper. Captain Gecko comes to the rescue.
And I chose to become invisible, which is a huge challenge. But I wasn't that impressed with my name.
Wow, what was it?
Invisiboy.
What's wrong with that? Invisiboy.
It's all right.
Well, think about it. Captain Gecko! And his nondescript sidekick, Invisiboy. It just didn't strike fear into the heart of supervillains.
Do you hear someone talking then?
I did, actually.
Because I can't see anybody, but I can just hear this voice.
Very funny.
Yeah.
That was it again.
Was that you?
No, was that your tummy rumbling?
Right, I'm leaving.
That was definitely your tummy rumbling.
Right, now it's time for a short break, but after that...
John goes for a lovely walk with a lovely man called Brian. Yes, Mr. Bentley and the extraordinary Mr. Blessed are testing Gadget walking boots. And I face the most exhausting, draining and gruelling challenge of my entire life as my alter ego, Captain Gecko. Oh, my God. That is terrifying.
Hello and welcome back. Now, I want to talk to you about walking boots. These days, you'd be amazed how much the humble walking boot has changed and how technologically advanced many modern walking boots have become, both in terms of how they're made and what they're made of. To test 3 of the most interesting pairs on the market today, I went for a stroll with a man who knows more than most about the importance of a good pair of boots. I went to Chobham Common in Surrey to give 3 of the latest pairs of technologically sophisticated walking boots a thorough road test. There to meet me was actor-turned-adventurer Brian Blessed, who's trekked all the way to the North Pole and attempted Mount Everest on 3 occasions.
It's nice to meet you.
All despite injuring both feet in a parachuting accident.
Well, you must have had massive experience of walking boots. Has it been a happy experience?
No, it's not. It never has been. And for me, it's been horrendous, because you are looking at a man who has deformed feet. I've been up Everest and up mountains, always in pain.
And that's because traditional boots are just too hard, is it?
Much too hard.
So I think our boots are going to meet an exceedingly tough and demanding tester on the basis of that. Shall we try the first?
First up were the high-tech V-Light Altitude Ultras, the first commercial boots to feature nanotechnology, with a molecular-level coating originally developed for the military to provide the ultimate in waterproofing. I'd already tested each pair of boots on a few walks myself to assess their performance, but Brian and I would be looking specifically at comfort and waterproofness. The high-tech boots are the lightest of our 3, and their soft cushioning certainly made for a comfortable fit.
I mean, I find these quite lightweight, almost like a pair of training shoes. Is that too light for you?
No, it's not too light. I think it's the ideal weight. With 2 pairs of socks, they would certainly take you up to 14,000 or 15,000 feet.
Ah.
These are good boots.
But the high-tech's main selling point is the waterproof iron mask technology. By chemically bonding a molecular compound to the boots inside a vacuum chamber, the surface of the boots becomes hydrophobic. In other words, every fibre becomes resistant to water. And to test them out, I armed Brian with something suitably heavy-duty.
And now you're in for it. Now look at this. Flash, flood, flash, Gordon.
And despite a thorough drenching, the boots did indeed prove resistant, leaving my socks nice and dry. Next up were the Mindel Vacuum GTX. These feature shock absorption, stretch Gore-Tex lining, and a vacuum memory foam inside, which reacts to heat to mould to the exact shape of your feet. A process which takes around 5 minutes. But as we headed across the common, Brian was finding the boots too rigid.
They're inflexible.
Are they more comfortable now the memory foam has had time to exercise its effect, or...?
No, not at all. No, they're as lousy as ever.
It seemed Brian wasn't a fan of the Mindel's more traditional design.
I would reluctantly like to stop.
Oh!
Well, they're absolutely appalling. I mean, I find it inflexible, and unsympathetic. I find it an absolutely bloody awful boot. Ooh. I hate it, and I hate wearing it, and I can't get it off quick enough.
Oh dear, oh dear. Ah.
A resounding blessed thumbs down for the Mindle, despite a reasonable performance in our water pistol test. Time to see if our final pair, the Salomon Cosmic 4D GTX, could hit the heights. These boots have a light chassis made from ballistic nylon, and they're protected by a breathable Gore-Tex membrane, so they should be ideal for even the warmest day.
I like that. They feel almost like ruggedized training shoes or trail boots, but are they going to be tough enough for you?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Really?
I think they're deceptively tough. They're firm and they're strong.
Yep.
They're flexible. They breathe.
Let's exercise them. Let's try them out.
What a good idea.
Marvellous.
The Salomon boots borrow technology from trail running shoes with 4 layers of protection. An outer sole, some cushioning, a midsole support plate and a foam insole.
So how are you finding them now on the move?
I'm finding them terrific. I mean, it is, you know, it's kind of one extreme to the other, but I'm finding these absolutely divine. I feel that now it's all one. The boot should be part of your whole physique.
An extension of you.
And psyche, yes. So I feel it's a kind of the marriage has taken place. These are... they're just the best boots I've put on in years.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, a ringing endorsement for the Salomons, and they successfully came through our waterproof test too.
It's dry. Excellent. So they've passed.
They do pass.
Most delightful day's testing.
A marvellous evening too, yes. I've loved it.
Indeed, but your conclusions now, Brian. Which do you prefer?
Well, the high-tech I liked very much. It was quite comfortable and reasonably waterproof. I hated the Mindle. I didn't like that at all. But the Salomon, I think, is a superb boot. I think, you know, with it, that I can climb Kilimanjaro. It's that flexible. I'll use it in the Himalayas.
And for my G ratings, I agree with Mr. Blessed. I'm giving the High-Techs 4 Gs. Light, comfortable, waterproof and good value for money. The Mindles only scrape 2 Gs for being just too stiff and unyielding. And it's 5 Gs for the Salomons. They're very comfortable and supportive, and, like Brian, I'd be happy to walk anywhere in them.
Right, now it's time for one of the top 5, and this week it's one of mine.
Yep, Susie's assembled a whole bunch of really cool gadgets designed to keep out all those undesirables. It's Susie's top 5 home security gadgets.
Not too long ago, home security pretty much began with window locks and ended with wired alarms, with very little in between. But today, the market is jam-packed with all sorts of gadgets to keep your property secure.
And we've sorted the wheat from the chaff to find the most useful and affordable home security gadgets around.
First up, at number 5, it's the Rex 10 dog alarm. Sometimes the simple ideas are the best.
The Rex 10 is basically an automated guard dog to deter would-be intruders, and it works like this.
When the infrared sensor detects movement, it wirelessly triggers the speaker unit's digital bark to frighten the pants off your would-be intruder.
The Rex 10 is also quite an intelligent little hound because it's completely compatible with all the other X10 products. So, if you add a lighting module, for example, you can get a lamp to come on a couple of seconds after the alarm's gone off.
At 4, it's the Lynx's wireless G camera, a security-conscious webcam with a difference.
This webcam doesn't have to connect to a computer. As long as you've got Wi-Fi in your house, you can literally put it anywhere.
Then you can log on and receive live video from anywhere with an internet connection, and from up to 9 cameras at once.
Now, the great thing about this is that you can set it to send you an email with a string of photographs when it detects motion in your room. And I can see now that there is something going on in that room. So shortly, hopefully, there we go, I'll get an email with what is occurring. Cheeky monkey.
At number 3, it's the Concept Smoke Machine Rapid.
It's a completely standalone unit and comes with a couple of motion sensors and a remote control. And the theory is that if you can't see anything, then you can't nick anything. But how effective is it? Well, there's only one way to find out.
I set it up in the garage to see what I could nick. Once motion activated, this portable unit will emit 40 seconds worth of non-toxic smoke. It does no damage to belongings or people, but it does leave an intruder seriously confused and hopefully your belongings safe.
So I think it's fair to say that it's quite effective. Just a glitter ball and a bit of Gloria Gaynor and I'm back in the 1970s. That was good.
At number 2, it's the Enigma Tag Asset Marker. Invisible to the naked eye, each bottle of liquid contains a unique ID code within its molecular structure that only reveals itself under UV light.
It's been designed with the aid of the police to help reunite stolen items with their rightful owners. But the great thing about this is that you only need a small dot to tag each object. It's a bit like giving your beloved items their very own fingerprint.
All you need to do is apply the solution and register your details on the Enigma Tag database. The microparticles are designed for marking bullets, so are extremely hard-wearing. And portable readers mean that police can identify marked goods on the spot. And at number 1, it's the Siemens Gigaset Intercom, an ordinary-looking device with a hidden talent. The intercom connects wirelessly to an answer phone unit inside, which in turn can be forwarded to a mobile, meaning you can choose to answer your door even when you're not in.
Hi, who's there?
Oh, hi, Susie, it's me.
You can then enter a code to buzz welcome guests in.
Okay, I'm in.
All right, there's some drinks in the fridge. I'll see you in a minute.
See you in a bit.
And more importantly, you can pretend to be in even when you're not.
Hello?
Hello, I wonder if you'd be interested in some double glazing.
Double glazing?
Got very reasonable rates.
I don't want any double glazing. Thank you very much. My windows are perfectly okay. However, my coco van is just boiling over. Goodbye. What do you think then? Isn't this a fantastic idea?
Really impressive. I love your number 1. I love the idea of getting a call and pretending that you're actually inside. It's genius. But I've got to say, the gadgeteer in me does like this.
Yeah, I know. This is quite a good idea.
Is that the arm button
Don't
there?
press anything.
What? Hang on! Stop it! Turn it off, somebody!
Right, time for another short break now, but after that...
Otis and I get down to the serious business of using gadgets to give ourselves superhero powers.
Not bad, eh?
Can Otis truly become invisible thanks to cutting-edge tech? And can I scale a 35-metre glass wall with the aid of Gadget?
Trust me, this is one challenge you really don't want to miss.
Got one leg left.
Welcome back. Let's get straight on with turning these two mere mortals into superheroes.
Yeah, this week's challenge was all about Otis and I using the latest technology to give ourselves superpowers.
I was to become Invisiboy with the power to be invisible.
Nice. Whereas I was to become Captain Gecko, able to walk up any building without using the stairs.
Obviously.
Clearly.
So we rejoin the action as our wannabe crime fighters search for tech to become superheroes.
We'd been given one of the hardest challenges yet to turn ourselves into superheroes. And it wasn't going to be easy. We had a lot to live up to.
It was time for Captain Gecko and Invisiboy to put on their thinking caps and carry out some all-important tech research.
Now think of climbing up the side of a building and one man comes to mind. I'm stuck! Nope, not Spider-Man, but the best free climber in the world, Alain Robert. The 46-year-old has scaled the outside of more than 85 skyscrapers around the globe. He climbs without any safety support equipment, ropes or harnesses. All he has are his shoes and a little bag of chalk to soak up the sweat on his hands. Could you get a chair or something, because I'm going to hurt myself. Oh, there was no way I was going to be able to do that. Clearly, I needed some help.
While Jason was trying and clearly failing at his attempt at Peter Parkerism, I was busy with Invisiboy. Now, the obvious choice for Invisiboy is an invisibility cloak. Even though technology is moving on rapidly, we're still a long way off from anything like that. But here at Musion, they use a high-def holographic video projection system that can make me disappear. This system beams a 3D moving image onto a stage downstairs, so even though I'm up here, I can be seen down there. Despite not actually being there, I'm up here. Kind of two places at once. But you understand, it's this system that's going to render me invisible. It definitely works, but there's no way I could ship all this equipment to a paintball field in Staffordshire. It's not what I'm looking for Invisiboy, so my quest must continue. In the words of Invisiboy, I'm out of here.
Meanwhile, across town, I was seeking my inspiration from a sticky little sucker. To become Captain Gecko, I need to get inside the mind of a gecko, to think like a gecko, to move Huh? Like a gecko. Geckos have unique toe pads that are covered with microscopic stalks that contain rare adhesive properties. And it's this adhesive that enables the gecko to stick to just about any surface, walls, ceilings even. He won't drop off, and more importantly, he doesn't leave any residue behind, nothing whatsoever. Unlike using sellotape or glue, there's no trace that the gecko, or Captain Gecko for that matter, was ever even there. The problem was, I don't have any glue stalks on my hands and feet to help me stick. So I needed to think a little bit more about how I was going to get up the side of a glass building.
I was still on the hunt for Invisiboy inspiration, and some Japanese boffins had caught my attention. They've created a retro-reflective material covered with thousands of small beads that reflect light. A video camera records the real-life scenery behind the subject and transmits it onto a front-mounted projector, displaying the footage on the reflective material, effectively turning the subject into a movie screen, thus making the wearer blend into the background and begin to disappear. It's a principle that could work for anyone, so I decided to recreate their invisibility tech on a much more basic scale, by mounting a camera connected to a monitor onto a platform.
Okay, this is how the setup should work. The camera feeds into the monitor everything that goes on behind me. I say behind me, I'm not there now, but if I now put myself in between the camera and the monitor and duck down behind the monitor, I should become invisible. See? Now, I wasn't able to fit any motors to the platform earlier, so, mush? Not bad, eh? It's basic, but you get the general idea.
But again, how was I going to pull this around a paintball field in Staffordshire? Things weren't looking good for me and Invisiboy.
Lucky for me, then, that I'd come up with a solution to help me win this challenge hands down. This little fella has got the right idea. Look, he attaches to glass via suckers, and then by moving them, it can move up and down. But it's not half as impressive as this Hummer, which uses vacuum technology to drive itself vertically up various surfaces. Look at it go, isn't it brilliant? What I need to become Captain Gecko is a combination of a gecko's agility and robot technology. I'd enlisted the help of special effects experts Machine Shop and asked that they make me a state-of-the-art suction system to get me up the side of a glass building. And they'd come up trumps. OK, apply pressure, please. Compressed air flows through cables in the vacuum generators in my belt. Once the generator valves are opened, the flow of compressed air creates a vacuum, sticking me hard and fast to the wall. I can't tell you how counterintuitive this is right now. Every bone in my body is saying, don't do this, because this will fall away and you'll crash onto the concrete floor. But there you go. There's faith for you. Look at that.
Whilst Jason was busy in his own little gecko cave with his team of Alfreds on hand, I had realised that to become truly invisible was perhaps a little beyond the realms of possibility, even for a superhero. So, I decided that my best option for winning the challenge was to make myself invisible to a specific type of sight, namely thermal imaging. To achieve this, I'd set up a very secret meeting with a top defence contractor who'd developed the perfect material for my superhero suit.
Let me explain a scenario to you. I need to render myself invisible to thermal imaging cameras. Otherwise, I'm going to get shot at by paintballing snipers. Now, I know you make materials for the military, so what are my options?
Probably something like this. This is a silver-covered material. It's got silver all over all the fibres, and that reflects the heat. It keeps it in if you put it on as a suit, and therefore you're going to be very difficult to see on a thermal imager.
OK.
And that's probably your best option for what you want to do.
And so I'd found the solution to my problem, a ready-made military-spec anti-thermal imaging suit that would render me invisible to the paintball army.
Fantastic, I like that. So all we need to do is lace the material with some Lycra, make it skin tight, and then I can just like fly through the forest at night, looking like a superhero, darting through the night.
Back at the machine shop, it was time to see how easy it was to release and re-stick the suckers so that I'd move upwards like a gecko. My legs were supported in stirrups. Oh, that's solid as anything, that is. That hung down from the suckers, which supported my weight fully, allowing me to move more freely. Release the left. This one, please. Sucker that bad boy on, please. This is incredible. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yes.
Hey, so it was looking good, wasn't it?
Yep. Stand by for some superheroics.
It gets serious later on. And the animal, the gecko.
I love geckos.
He was a gorgeous little sticky critter. Hey?
Hey, listen, really difficult to make yourself look invisible, though.
But this material, it will work. It will reflect all my body heat back, and any ambient heat from outside the suit reflects it away. So no thermal imaging will be able to see me.
So, Invisiboy and Captain Gecko now had all the tech they needed to become superheroes, but would they be able to pass the superhero tests that we set them?
Right, we'll be coming back to the superhero challenge very shortly. But first, here's an important announcement. If you were watching last week, you may recall that we launched the search for the Gadget Show's Gadget of the Decade. This is the decade that started with the threat of planes falling out of the sky thanks to the Millennium Bug and fireworks not working on the Thames. But since then, it's gone on to become, without a shadow of a doubt, the most important decade ever in terms of how technology has changed our lives.
The way we listen to music, the way we learn, the way we socialise, the way we play, the way we communicate, the way we shop.
Everything's changed, and to celebrate, we want to find out what have been the most important gadgets of this incredible decade. And we want you to choose.
We want you to go to our website at 5.tv/gadgetshow. Click the Gadget of the Decade link and then vote. It doesn't cost you anything, but we really want you to get involved. So go on, get online and make sure your favourite gets chosen.
Right, it's crunch time.
Yeah, this week's challenge involves Otis and I using the latest in technology to try and give ourselves superhero powers.
And now we each face a test to see if we could cut it as superheroes.
But we all know that superheroes need to have superhero costumes.
Oh, yeah!
Yes! So let's find out now what our Gadget Show superheroes look like.
By day, it's just little old me, Mom, Man and Jason, the Gadget Show. But by night, I'm Captain Gecko.
Can I touch it?
Yeah, of course.
The suit.
Oh, sorry.
It's actually a good-looking suit, Jay.
Thank you very much, man.
Little spikes
Thank
on
you.
the
I
back.
can do Morse code as well, look.
Hey,
Thank you.
your turn.
They seek him here, they seek him there, but no one can actually see Invisiboy. What?
You're in a bag.
It's the sack thing that's
Listen.
unexpected.
Listen, the superpower is in the suit, and it needs to be big. The greater the surface area, the more effective it dissipates my body heat.
Can you actually see us?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
OK. Yeah. So remember, this bag cape thingy bob should prevent him from being seen by thermal imaging cameras. But will it work?
So here I am in a paintball park in Staffordshire where I finally get to be Invisiboy. All I have to do is get from here to here and press this victory button. Now, there'll be a small army of highly trained top marksman paintballers armed with thermal imaging cameras trying to stop me. But I'm not worried about that because I have faith that my anti-thermal imaging suit will be so effective they won't spot me. Poor old Jason in his suction suit. Sucker. As night fell, the paintballers were tooling up, confident that they were going to see some rapid-fire action. To make sure my suit worked at its very best and made me invisible to them, I'd left it out on the woodland floor to cool down for a couple of hours so that it would match the ambient temperature of the forest and hopefully give me a better chance of blending into the background.
See ya.
Once I was suited and booted, it was time for me to get into position at the beginning of the course. Then the paintballers were unleashed, surrounding me from start to finish, armed with their guns and thermal imaging cameras. All objects have a certain temperature and emit waves of thermal energy called infrared radiation. Hotter objects, such as warm bodies, emit more of this thermal energy than cooler objects, such as trees or buildings. So, on the screens of the thermal imaging cameras, hotter objects were white and cooler objects were black. The suit I was wearing was dipped in silver, which is highly reflective, a bit like tin foil. So any heat my body gives off is reflected back inside the suit. All ambient heat from outside the suit is reflected back away from it, thus making me thermoneutral or invisible. Okay, everyone's in position now. It's time to see whether this suit is going to save me from a fate worse than paintball pain.
I was one lone man against the world, and paintballs really hurt. I prayed that my suit would save me. It was time to see if I could actually become invisible.
3, 2, 1, go!
I think my best bet is probably to be as low to the ground as I can be.
But much to my dismay, as soon as I started moving, the paintballers saw me and started firing.
Oh my God, can they see me already? This suit's meant to be a military tech.
I tried crouching.
I can't believe this, I'm meant to be invisible.
Tiptoeing, stooping.
This ain't fun. People do this for fun.
And even running like a headless chicken. But the state-of-the-art thermal imaging cameras that the paintballers were spotting me through were just too good. If you're standing or lying still, the suit dissipates heat effectively. But as soon as you add movement, it's all over, especially with thermal imaging cameras at close range. Once I started on my route to the big red button, my body created heat. Add that to the steam coming off the suit from the pouring rain, and it was game over.
I'm just gonna have to try and get to the end without getting hit.
To add insult to even more injury, my face mask was becoming more of a hindrance than a help.
I'm actually starting to steam up. I can hardly see my hands in front of my face.
The paintballers just kept on firing, but somehow they didn't hit me directly, although I could feel the paintballs whizzing past my head. I may as well have been running around in broad daylight. I thought I was up against a crack team of super sharp shooters, but in the end it was my stealth and speed that got me through unscathed, not my suit. I sprinted to the end and hit the red button. My ordeal was over, but my superhero dream lay in tatters.
Yes! I didn't get shot!
Not yes! It didn't work. You should have got shot.
It was sheer fluke that you were pummeled with paintball.
No, the reason I didn't get shot, Jason, was because of my stealth-like and speedy move. All right, fair enough. Look, my tech failed. Thermal imaging technology has come on leaps and bounds in recent years, and it's overtaken anti-thermal technology. So it was the old versus new.
I'm thinking it was your size of your suit. You see, because it was too small, it was sticking to your body. And parts of it where it was baggy, you were actually disappearing in the thermal image. But the bits where it touched your skin, all the heat came through. You got a small, you should have got an extra large. That's what happened.
The fact is, Otis, you failed. And now it's time for this week's competition.
Yeah, it is, and it's an absolute cracker this week. In fact, we're offering you all the tech you could possibly need to have a gadget-fuelled existence. 70 separate gadgets. Yes, 70 gadgets. Here's the list. Listen carefully. You can win
a pair of the Salomon walking boots that came top in John's test. My favourite home security gadget, a Siemens Gigaset intercom, a TomTom Go Live, a pacemaker portable DJ system, a Samsung netbook, an iPhone,
a Canon EOS 5D Mark II digital SLR camera plus lens, a Panasonic TZ7 compact digital camera, a 50-inch plasma TV, a 32-inch LCD TV, and an in-focus DLP projector, a high-def Blu-ray player, and 20 Blu-ray movies.
A high-end desktop gaming PC, a MacBook laptop, a Canon Pixma MP630 printer, a Nintendo Wii and Wii Fit, and a DSi.
A Microsoft Xbox 360, a PS3, a PSP Go as soon as possible after launch, a Paramat gaming chair, and a whole load of games for all the consoles.
An Apple iPod Touch, an Arcos 5 personal media player, a 5.1 surround sound speaker system, a high-def Panasonic camcorder, a Sony reader, a Rovio mobile webcam, a loaded Dervish longboard, a bulletproof USB memory stick, and an Oral-B Triumph electric toothbrush.
A Slingbox Pro, a Marin mountain bike, a pair of Skullcandy TI headphones, a copy of FX Home Special Effects software, a Burgas Barflex rucksack, a Magimix 5200 food processor, and a Yogi Gatekeeper Pico.
A Griffin Bluetooth headset, a Power 8 workshop, a Pocket Surfer, a Philips webcam, a Cobb barbecue, a Wolf Eyes shark torch.
A flat light, a Dyson Ball vacuum, a Sony D100 digital photo frame, an Aladdin Challenger flask, a Philips juicer, and a Flip Video Ultra. It's a prize fund worth over £16,000. And to win with a chance of winning it all, you'll need to know the answer to this question.
Sue Storm is the Invisible Woman in which superhero team? A. Fantastic Four, B. X-Men, or C. Watchmen?
To enter, call 0904 1616 555 or text A, B or C to 63555. Calls cost £1.50 from a BT landline. Calls from other networks may vary and from mobiles will cost considerably more. Text costs £1.50 plus one message at standard network rate. For rules, go to 5.tv/win. Lines close at midday on Monday, September the 28th. And of course, we'll show you the question again at the end of the show. Good luck.
Right, time for the last break in this week's show now. But after that, Jason faces the most grueling challenge in 5 years of working on the Gadget Show. As Captain Gecko, can he scale a 35-metre tall building?
Welcome back. Now, you'll remember that just before the break, Otis's superhero alter ego, Invisiboy, failed in his attempt to become invisible in front of thermal imaging cameras.
Yeah.
So now, with him defeated, there was only one man that could save us from world destruction. Yes, Captain Gecko.
And to test his newly acquired superhero powers, Jason... Captain Gecko faced a seemingly impossible challenge.
The iconic Fort Dunlop building sits alongside the M6 in Birmingham. Built in 1917, it was once the largest factory in the world, employing over 3,000 staff. After 25 years of lying derelict, it has recently been regenerated into a fancy business centre with a 35-metre-high glass wall for me to climb. Captain Gecko arrived at the scene of the climb to find the crew setting up and preparing for my debut ExCapade as a wall-climbing superhero.
Hey, it's high, I'll tell you that much. Just chafed the nipple, actually. Medic?
Paul from Special Effects Experts Machine Shop was busy testing out the bespoke suction suit he'd built for me. It works using compressed air, which flows through cables into vacuum generators on a belt, and then from the belt to the suckers, creating a vacuum which would stick me to the glass wall. Once I was actually standing at the bottom of the glass wall, with a canister of compressed air and 4 small vacuum suckers, the enormity of the challenge finally hit home. It was a challenge I was relishing, but in our final safety briefing, the dangers of what I was about to attempt were made all too clear.
If something does happen and Jason comes down, can you not all rush in to try and help him? Let these guys go in first and just stay clear and let them sort it out, please.
And on that thought, it was time for me to get suited up and strapped into my safety harness. The nerves were really starting to build now. And so were the doubts.
The thing I'm actually really worried about is whether I'm strong enough, because it's really, really high. It's a very high building.
With everyone in position and the ropes and safety gear checked and double-checked, it was time to turn on my suit and get ready to climb. But it quickly became apparent that something was very wrong.
A malfunction on one of the units. It's sticking, but it's not staying.
The airflow to one of the units on my left sucker had failed and the vacuum wasn't working, which meant that only one half of the sucker was sticking to the glass. As soon as I tried to put any weight on the sucker, it just slid down the glass and wouldn't support me. This was a disaster that could stop me before I'd even started. Its creator, Paul, desperately tried to figure out what was wrong with the suction suit, but he couldn't find a problem anywhere. It looked like we would have to call off the entire climb. But then, a flash of inspiration came to Captain Gecko that could just save the day and the climb.
So it's not going to work that way, because you can see that comes off, right? So that will turn like that, but if it's like that...
I discovered that if I held the sucker vertically instead of horizontally, it didn't slide down the window. But it would make my climb incredibly difficult. Holding the sucker vertically and pulling my body weight up with my wrist at that angle would be crippling.
I'm happy to go with this. I mean, I'm happy to go with this. I can't see any other option. We can't fix it.
I decided to go for it. But what was already a very ambitious climb was now bordering on the impossible.
Okay, let's get on with it then.
Finally, as night fell across Birmingham, Captain Gecko attached himself to the bottom of the wall and prepared for his first mission. There was no turning back now.
3, 2, 1, go!
And with that, my superhero quest had begun. Despite the broken sucker, the rest of the suit was working perfectly. I was controlling the vacuum system using my thumbs, and the suckers were sticking hard and fast to the window.
So I'm coming up to my first hurdle, which is this thing here. It's going to be very, very hard to try and get over.
I needed almost superhuman strength to power myself past the window.
Oh my God. Just get on there, bad boy. Oh my God. That is terrifying. I am so scared.
I managed to regain my composure and carry on, finding a decent rhythm. I was making good progress, even though I only had 3/4 of my kit working.
My tendons and my thumbs are giving in. I can hardly hold the buttons down.
My thumbs started to cramp up. My feet were getting tangled in the stirrups, making each movement up the window more demanding than the last.
Oh, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired.
At just over halfway, I had literally hit the wall.
Utterly exhausted. I'm in so much pain. I'm in serious pain. I can hardly move my hands.
But there was no way I was going to give up yet.
But come on, man, this is Captain Gecko! Come on, man, get to it. Let's get this done.
I'd never known pain like it. My leg and arm muscles felt like they were on fire. But somehow, I managed to sucker myself up the final stretch of the window.
I've made it! I've done it! Oh! Damn, this lycra feels good! It feels good! Every man should do this! Captain Gecko!
Yay! Captain Gecko! It works!
How about that?
Bit traumatic.
Very traumatic, real drama halfway up.
You turned into Captain Gecko.
I was Captain Gecko for a while because his little biceps, all they do is play video games. They're not used to going...
Will you return, Captain Gecko?
Yeah, I'll return and you'll know it's me because I'll be followed by a spotlight and I'll be wearing lycra and I'll make noises like this. All right?
See you soon.
See you next time.
Next time on The Gadget Show.
We'll be celebrating the premiere of the year's biggest TV show, Flash Forward.
We all lost consciousness, everyone. I saw a glimpse of my future and everything...